Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process. I'm Kristin Clark. I'm a career exploration coach for 16 to 26-year-olds, and I'm here with Bobby Hood. He's an SAT, ACT tutor, and he does all his work, as do I, online. So, Bobby, how are you today?
Just great. Excited to talk about the beginning of the school year for college students. It's an exciting time and a scary time. I think we all remember, what that was like. And so, yeah.
It is. And I have been out speaking a lot this week, Bobby, and I've talked to a lot of parents where they're sending their kid off, their first, their second, their third kid off to that first week of college. And one of my favorite words of wisdom, I guess, for them is what their kids should focus on that first 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that what students, you always talk about the statistics of students who don't return after their first year, right? And I think getting started on the right foot is a big key to feeling included. Because if you miss out on those first 2 weeks, you've missed out on a lot of friendships forming and all that, right?
Yes. And I think too, there's so much coming into this kid's brain
Hmm.
that first 2 weeks, everything's new and there's, shiny things all over the place that they're
Uh-huh.
like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I think it's hard to kind of know what to focus on.
Hmm.
And by giving them one thing to focus on for that 2 weeks, I think this is going to I can't get my words out, be the make or break
Hmm.
for them, like you said, for the rest of their time in college. And that one piece of information that parents, when you're talking to your child, either if they haven't gone or they're already there, their job for the first 2 weeks is making connections
Hmm.
with not only students in their grade, students that are higher, that have been there a couple of years, but also their professors.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
Because we know, as you've brought up many times, that like one of the keys to success in college is actually
And I know
interacting with
what
your
Bobby's going to
professors and
refer
going and
to,
listening.
and that is to have a sense of well-being.
Hmm.
That it's going to be important to make those connections. That having your community is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, what I'm going to share today is there's a download that I have, and it's the 6 activities for college success. And it
Okay.
outlines the 6 types of things throughout college, not just these first 2 weeks, but throughout college that your students should do just to have a sense of well-being. And it actually affects them, Bobby, not only now in college, but also in how their life goes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. There's also a tip in there on an easy, stress-free way for your student to reach out to other people to get them to do things on campus
Ooh.
those first 2 weeks.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Because getting involved in activities is a key part of it.
It is. Now, and let's talk about why their main priority should be, and I making it more simple and
Hmm.
straightforward, making friends. I
Sure.
mean, that's their
Yeah.
job first 2 weeks.
Hmm.
But I don't want to forget the professor part, but it's making friends and getting that sense of community. Um, because you have to have that human connection. And a lot of these kids, Bobby, gosh, they've just grown up so much differently than we did, where they are stuck to their phones. So it's easy to sit
Sure.
in their room and just do this all day because it feels good and comfortable and safe. So putting yourself out there for that first 2 weeks is hard. They haven't had to do that.
Absolutely. And it's easy to come into college still connected to a significant other, your boyfriend or girlfriend, right? Or just friends. And it's easy to just sit home and talk to them online or texting them instead of getting out and meeting new friends, right?
That's right. And I know for me, when I went to college, yes, I went with some of my good friends, but
Hmm.
then there were those outlier friends too. And it's easy to kind of gravitate towards those people.
Right.
We purposefully all picked different dorms so
Ooh,
that we could meet
smart.
more people and get that like mass, friend group stuff happening faster. So that's an idea.
That's
Uh,
really smart.
mhm. Yeah, and the little trick in that download is to get a stack of sticky notes and have them write on there, hey, my roommate and I are going to go to the movies on this date, this time, be at our room. And you go and you stick those up on all the doors on your dorm floor. So that way, if everybody shows up, great. If nobody shows up, who cares? You still go, and no muss, no fuss.
That's a really great idea, right? And I think it's just like not being in your room is a big part of it, right? I mean, I know that and going to the actual organized things, right? Freshman orientation and stuff like that, because I remember people are saying, no, don't go to that. That's stupid, right? But there are people I met at those events that I'm still friends with, right?
Yes.
That's a big part of it, right? And just walking around campus, you don't realize at first that just the downtime between classes, as long as you stay out on campus, you're going to end up randomly talking to people.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it, but people are friendlier than you think, right? And it just happens, and then you suddenly discover a friendship that just as you're sitting, waiting in front of the student union, looking around, lost or whatever, and suddenly you start talking to someone.
Well, and let's break this down too. Why is it so critical to start this the first 2 weeks? And where my head goes on this, Bobby, is right at that moment, you have the most opportunity because everybody is looking for a friend group. Everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And every day that goes by, that gets a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller.
They've established their groups.
Yep. Yes. So you can't let those first 2 weeks slide by because your pool is getting smaller.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing too, is like, it's not that whoever you meet in the first few days is going to be the people you're going to be hanging out with the whole time. It's just that's gives you the opportunity to meet more people and then connect up with more groups. And then it all starts sorting itself out. But if you're outside of that, then it's hard to break into any of it because you don't have, it's all people introducing people to other people because they know each other. Right. And so, then it's a little hard to do after 2 weeks. That's all. Yeah.
And I'm going to bring up one other point. If you get into that mode right away, it builds on itself, especially for the kids that are a little bit shy. They're fishing when the fishing's good at that time. So they're going to see success faster.
Right.
So then they kind of build up this resilience and this confidence about, oh, you know what? I can go up to somebody and say hello, and they may talk to me, and the worst thing they'll do is go, and they walk away. It's not that bad. We've all had it happen. Some more than others, maybe, I don't know, but it does. It makes them more confident that, hey, I can do this, and it breaks them out of, that little bit of shyness some of our kids have. So. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is really interesting that, part of the thing too that students need to remember is that you get to reinvent yourself when you go to college. This is one of the biggest opportunities you can ever have in your life to leave behind parts of your personality that just became habits and come up with new things, right? If you're tired of the nickname people called you in high school, this is now how to correct people into whatever you want your name to be now, and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where you can try that out in those first couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think I told you this. I was Chris during all of my grade school and changed my name to Kristin when I went to college. And it was interesting too, because it freed me a little bit from, and reminded me that I could act how I wanted to act.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely right. It gets you out of the whole, like, whatever it is, how people perceive you, right? And probably millions of conversations about, why is your name Kristin, blah, 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 right? And they're like, Kristin is simpler, right, or whatever, and it feels more comfortable for you, and it's great, right? And it represents who you were in that stage, not who you were in elementary school stage, right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing, right? And so, and I don't know that, like, students actually think about that. Hopefully they do, right? But it's just like, this is one of the opportunities, I think, that you can do it. And it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to believe, that you have that control of anything. So, yeah.
But you do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, so parents, get out, call your kids, encourage them to get out and meet people. Tell them to just go walk around campus between classes, just whatever. Just tell them to get out of that dorm room and to say hi to their professors. Go to their professors' office hours just to say hi.
All right. Thanks, Bobby.
All right.